Hi, everybody. Welcome to our group's presentation on one of our key findings for our client, Buzz Me Up. This presentation is brought to you by myself, Kaylyn Bodwin, my colleagues Jamie Benham, Yesenia Padilla, and Libby Hargrove. Without further ado, let us go into our slides. So we had four research questions. The first one being which customer segments align most with unmet needs. So that being said, this is a really big part of answering our MRP. So when we originally met with the Buzz Me Up CEO, he originally asked whether or not they should expand into more niche services, things like virtual concierge or special delivery features. To understand if this expansion actually matches consumer demand, our team explored whether different customer segments had different unmet needs. So, for our first research question, we focused on segmentation and whether any demographic or psychographic group showed a stronger desire for these additional features. So, to answer our research question, we designed a mixed method study using both survey data and content analysis. For today's insight, we're going to focus on the survey results only rather than the content analysis. The survey was broken into five sections. So, it had screener questions, it had section two, which was trust and needs and access security, section three, pricing models. Section four, open-ended questions. And then section five was demographics. Now, each of these sections connected back to one or more of our research questions, allowing us to look at both attitudes and potential behaviors, also allowing us to look deeper into those segmentations that we mentioned. So our study generated a number of findings, and as we dug deeper into these findings, we began to see some segmentation, some demographics slash consumer segmentation across age, race, and ethnicity. Oh, and also living situation. But what is more relevant here is that some of these demographic groups showed a uniquely strong or consistent interest in virtual concierge or specialty services in comparison to other needs. That being said, for our key insight, the key takeaway here is that while some specific demographic segments strongly align with the unmet needs for virtual concierge or specialty services, others do not. So, in other words, depending on which demographic you examine, these feature needs may or may not be something that a particular demographic is demanding more than others. And it definitely should be a core focus for Buzz Me Up as they consider expanding their services. I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to my colleague, Yesenia Padilla.
Thanks, Kaylyn. So in order to dig deeper into the nuances of these insights, one of the key demographics that we looked at was age. So we conducted a chi-square test to determine what age groups were most likely to find virtual concierge or specialty delivery services such as Amazon or the AI features that were mentioned as potential expansion points for Buzz Me Up, which age groups would find those to be most important. After running the test and looking at our data, what we found was there was a tendency for respondents aged 25 to 34 to think that concierge services or special delivery services were important when looking for a place to live, choosing a place to live, but that the results themselves were non-significant. What that means is that, there's a tendency here, but it's not necessarily grounded in statistical significance. Given this tendency, consistency, however, as we're looking at our data, we do recommend that Buzz Me Up should target 25 to 34-year-olds when developing these add-ons, as these are the groups that reported um, biggest interest in those features. So now I'll pass it over to Jamie.
In addition to the results that we received for the age demographic, we also tested the gender demographic to see if there were any significant differences between the genders during the survey for this particular insight. We performed a chi-square test to determine if there were any significant results between the genders, and we did indeed find that there was a significant difference between how men rated the importance of virtual concierge services and how females and non binary participants rated the importance of virtual concierge services. We found that male participants rated the importance significantly higher. Now, it is worth noting that we had a good number of male participants over female participants. We had 63 male participants compared to the 21 female participants and the 7 non-binary participants, as you can see from the bar graph here. However, their choices are still rated significant. So we can tell that if Buzz Me Up does decide to go through with this expansion, then the male audience would be a worthy target for this.
For this slide, I ran a chi-square test to see which of our groups, renters, Airbnb hosts, or multi-tenant households, actually cares about virtual concierge and special delivery services when choosing a place to live. What we found is that renters definitely seem the most excited about having a digital concierge, which honestly makes sense because renters are always looking for something to make their building feel a little more like a luxury upgrade. Even though the statistics weren't strong enough to officially crown a winner, the trend clearly leaned towards renters caring the most. So our recommendation is that if Buzz Me Up rolls out these concierge style features, renters should be the first group to hear about it. They're the ones most likely to say, yes, please, make my life easier. Now on to Jamie.
As a final recommendation, while expansion into these features that offer access to virtual concierge and special delivery services may be lucrative for Buzz Me Up in the future, we don't recommend that it's something that they focus on initially. Should they opt to go into these features in the future, we do recommend that they focus on specific demographics, namely male consumers, renters, and consumers within the 45 to 55 plus range.